And I'm delighted to welcome Dusty Springfield.
With Mockingbird. Oh, fly, fly away. Woo!
Mock,
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
a bird,
yeah,
a yeah.
yeah. Mockingbird. Everybody, have you heard? He's gonna buy me a mockingbird. Oh, if that mockingbird don't sing, he's gonna buy me a diamond ring. And if the diamond ring don't shine, he's gonna surely break this heart of mine. That's why I can't tell him that thing. Yeah, yeah. I know everybody. I know that he knows. I can't let him go. But I love him, and it's so sad. He's got to go. But if I let him go, I'm gonna make a mistake in love. That's why I can't tell him that sad thing. Yeah, yeah. I know everybody. I know, but I think no. And I know, yes, I know. He's no square, but the closer he gets, I find the harder it is to take love. That's why I can't tell him that sad thing. Yeah, yeah. I know everybody. Have you heard? He's gonna buy me a mockingbird. Oh, if that mockingbird don't sing, he's gonna buy me a diamond ring. And if the diamond ring don't shine, he's gonna surely break this heart of mine.
Hi, I'm Wendy Stapleton and welcome to Wrokdown, coming to you live from Musicland. Well, in the 1960s, the very early 1960s, the Echoes were backing amazing artists such as Lulu, Jerry Lee Lewis, Gene Vincent, you name it, the Echoes were all over it. And as you saw at the beginning of the show, our very special guest this evening actually not only went on to become Dusty Springfield's musical director, but he did this wonderful duet, Mockingbird. Would you please welcome Doug Reece?
Thank you. Thank you much.
Dougie, we were talking before the show, as we always do, and of course, you read things about your career and the years that all get mixed up. You remember everything impeccably. Even in the very early 1960s, you were backing all of these amazing bands in London.
We certainly were.
How did you start off?
Well, I was with another band before the Echoes, and I got seconded to the Echoes for the tour in 1961 with Gene Vincent, which was really good.
Massive, yeah.
I then stayed with the band, so that's how I stayed with them. But before that was lots of other things.
So the Echoes were one of London's premier backing bands?
They certainly were. That's basically what the whole thing was. We did backings, and we'd play for Roy Orbison and Jerry Lee Lewis, Gene Vincent, and
whoever came through.
Whoever wanted us. Not just rock and roll. We did things with Matt Monro and classic singers, so we were able to read music, which helped.
Well, you basically had to if you were covering all of those
it helped.
genres of
Sure.
music.
Mm.
Tell us a little bit. I know you said Jerry Lee Lewis. Was that interesting?
Fantastic. It was very interesting. Initially, it was the second trip to England, because the first one, they discovered that he had married his cousin, who was 14. And so he left England because of that. And this was the tour after that, where she was old enough to be his wife.
But he was wonderful to back.
Fantastic. And of course, we had one more show to do, and unfortunately our drummer was taken sick and he had to go back to London. And our next job was at New Brighton Theatre, Ballroom, which is opposite Liverpool itself. And there was lots and lots of very famous people on there, and we needed a drummer. So anyway, one of the things that our keyboard player knew lots of musicians up in Liverpool, and so he got hold of this guy who had just come back from Germany, been playing with Rory Storm and the Hurricanes, and his name was Ringo Starr. So Ringo played with our band for Jerry
Ringo
Lee.
did?
Yes.
Obviously, this was before the Beatles.
It was.
Uh,
It was.
So it would have been very early 60s.
It was 62 for Jerry Lee Lewis, yeah.
So, Lulu?
Lulu was a bit later on. We'd already started with Dusty, but because of our reputation, we were able to back other people, and Lulu wanted us to pay for her. So we actually did a lot of stuff with Lulu, including the Monkeys tour of England.
So she was the support act?
She was the support act with our band.
To the Monkeys?
Yes, with the Echoes, yeah. And the funny thing is, of course, years later, I married a woman, a girl, who I loved, and Wendy was with Martin the Cookies, who also did the support for them here in Australia. So,
well, she must have been great if she's called Wendy.
well, that's it, of course.
And she's with us this
of
evening,
course,
Wendy Reece, or Wendy Cook, as you were back in the day from Marty Jones and the Cookies, is here tonight, and your beautiful son Marty and Alex. So all of these amazing artists, then eventually you became Dusty's sort of permanent backing band.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, we'd finished the summer season in Jersey, which is what you do in England, and we got back to England. We'd already got this reputation, and suddenly our agent phoned and said, you've got to audition for Dusty Springfield. And we didn't normally do auditions because we were known in that aspect. So we did the audition, and she loved us. Before we actually had the rehearsal, I spent a lot of time with her going through the stuff she wanted to do, like songs and treatment and certain patterns she'd want on the drums or the bass or the guitar, whatever. And I would then relay that to the band. And when we had the first rehearsal, she was really rapt because I'd achieved what she wanted us to achieve.
So even back then, you were really her musical director.
Well, in a way, yeah. I mean, I was the leader of the band, so I suppose that made me the boss.
Everyone's heard so much about Dusty Springfield. I've spent a major part of my life...
I saw your show. I saw it.
Singing the songs. And, of course, she's an icon.
She is.
She's an icon. What made Dusty different from the other fabulous... I mean, Lulu, all of those singers were absolutely exceptional.
Yep.
What made Dusty different?
She knew exactly what she wanted, both musically and orchestrally. So she'd know a really good song, which she always went to American found stuff, or her brother Tom wrote really good songs with Clive Westlake, which were really good too for her. So she was really good at picking great material, which is important.
She had a very eclectic taste.
Oh, she was great. She was incredible. I mean, she knew exactly how to approach everything, you know. She was really fussy on her vocals, and she knew who she wanted in the band to play on the records. So I just got so much regard for her. She was fantastic.
You were both really quite young.
Well, I was 9 months. There's 9 months difference in age. She was older. I'll let you know that. By 9 months. But no.
The older woman, eh?
Well, the older woman. But we got along extremely well, and obviously we must have for 7 years. So I must say something.
I have an amazing collection of photos here, which obviously are going to be put up onto the screen. But
okay, rightio. So in this particular shot, there's Dusty, and I'm standing alongside of her. Next to her is Keith Fordyce, who was the announcer on the videotape. Then Jimmy Savile. And then next to him is Kathy McGowan, who was combat of Ready Steady Go, which is a famous show in England. Next to Jimmy Savile was Twinkle, and then Cilla Black, and then Tom Jones, and then next to Tom Jones was Athol Guy and Bruce Woodley. In front of them was the Searchers. In front of them was Mick Jagger and Brian Jones.
Not a bad shot. I really want to talk to you about your South African tour with Dusty, because that was incredibly controversial.
It was, very much.
And hear more about that. We're going to go to a short break. We'll be back soon with Doug Reece. Welcome back to Wrokdown. My special guest this evening is the incredibly talented Mr. Doug Reece. Well, Doug, as you said, your band, The Echoes, basically backed nearly everybody who was who in London in the early 60s.
Yep.
I have a wonderful photo here now. This is with the amazing Gene Vincent. Just tell us a little bit about Gene.
Well, as I say, this was the first year I played with The Echoes. I was 21, and that's me on the right. And there's Gene Vincent and Laurie J.
It's just fabulous. So how is Gene? How is he to work with?
I love Gene Vincent. He was a lovely person.
What were his biggest hits?
Bebopaloola.
Bebopaloola.
Say Mama and Pistol Packing Mama and a few other things. We did a couple of things with them, which are on YouTube, which you can probably see.
So we can go to YouTube.
You can go to YouTube. It's only one track at the moment. It's just a track, no vision. But it's good.
But it's still it's good quality. So, okay, I'm really interested in the story about the tour that you did with Dusty to South Africa. So if you can just explain to everybody what the situation was in South Africa and why this whole incident occurred.
Well, what happened in South Africa, of course, was due to the fact of apartheid, which they had there during the time we're talking about, and that restricted black people attending concerts. Dusty had written in a clause into her contract to say that she would not have to perform to segregated audiences. So as far as we were concerned, when we were going to go to South Africa, we were going to appear
to everybody,
with mixed audience. And so consequently, when we got there in South Africa, we were told, okay, we'll see how the first night went, which was in Johannesburg. So we did that concert, and everyone was fantastic. There was black people there, white people, everyone loved it, and it's fine. The next day, we had a call from the government saying, we want you to sign this piece of paper to say that you will agree to play segregated audience. She said, no, part of my contract was that we would play. We were able to play to everybody. And they kept insisting and pushing this point all the time, and they actually cornered me one morning, and there were two officers from the government. I didn't know them from the government. They initially came to me as promoters. They said, we have a nightclub. We'd like you to come and play the Echoes. We love the Echoes. We want you to come and play at our nightclub. And so I was a bit suspicious. So I went and spoke to Dusty's manager, who said, I'll come down and speak to them. By the time we got down there, they'd left. We asked the receptionist people, and they said, yeah, well, they were the police. They actually came there to persuade the Echoes to split from Dusty to make her in a bad light. If you know what I mean?
Well, I didn't know that.
No, hey, I'm telling you.
This is the truth. From the horse's mouth.
That's it, for sure. So that was that situation. Anyway, eventually we did a couple of concerts out of Johannesburg, some at black areas, and there were white people there, so that's fine. So we then had to go to Cape Town. We went to Cape Town and we worked at the Rainbow Theatre, I think it's Rainbow Theatre. And anyway, my job was I was not allowed to let the concert start unless I saw black people in the audiences. So anyway, I was standing there backstage and looking through little peephole, and no black people. And so I said, no, you can't start the show. Anyway, 10 minutes later, there was about 20 or 30 black people walked in and sat down. And they were not by themselves, they were mixed with the white people, which is how it should be. So I started the concert, and that was fantastic. And that night, we got information that we were going to be deported the next day. We'd done about 4 shows, but we didn't do Darwin.
And you were deported?
We were, but I've got to tell you, one of the things that always stood with me, that I remember distinctly about this particular thing, was that when we were at Cape Town Airport, we had all our stuff taken through, and we were walking to the aircraft. You had to walk across the tarmac to get there. So we walked across the tarmac, but before we got there was a line of all the people that loaded the cases, which of course were black people. They all took their berets off and went like that as we walked past, and that was really touching to me.
It was a thank you for opposing apartheid.
Yes, I think so.
And of course, when you arrived back in England, I believe you were there. I'm just
Yes, I was there.
say so hearsay. Of course, it was the press. It
huge.
was just massive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was huge. I mean, they had cartoons about what we said and what we didn't do, and then unfortunately, a lot of English artists sort of said she shouldn't have done that because it stopped us working there. But I mean,
did you want to work there?
Well, that was exactly the whole point. I mean, Dusty would say in the interview, if they had the money to buy a ticket, they're entitled to buy a ticket, whether or not it was black, white, green, or orange, you know. And so, I mean, there was a few artists that really disappointed Dusty because she loved them, and they came out with these remarks.
With these opposing statements.
Right.
So, an amazing career. I really would love to have you back because I think we have many more stories to tell.
No worries.
So, ladies and gentlemen, would you please thank Mr. Doug Reece? Now, Dougie, we love to support Australian music and Australian artists.
Fantastic, yeah.
So, we're going to show you a clip. It's a new artist called Mark Wilkinson.
Mm-hmm.
This is called Another Necklace. So, let's have a look and you tell me what you think.
Fantastic.
Don't buy another necklace or something else expensive. Don't sell another dream when you know that she can buy. Don't dazzle her with rubies. Don't play her like some trick you want to try. Don't treat her like a fool when you know that things ain't right. But it all feels so good when you hold her like you should, and it all feels so right deep inside. Don't build another staircase in the sky. Don't build a set of wings so you can fly. Don't sell another dream alive when you know that she can buy. Don't tell her that you're saving. She's not a little baby, she'll be fine. Just tell her for real. Now you're stealing away her life. But it all feels so good when you hold her like you should, and it all feels so right deep inside. Don't build another staircase in the sky. Don't build a set of wings so you can fly. Don't sell another dream alive when you know that she can buy. Don't build another staircase in the sky. Don't build a set of wings so you can fly. Don't sell another dream alive when you know that it's a lie. And it all feels so good, and it all feels sell another dream alive when you know that it's a lie. Don't buy another necklace or something else expensive. Don't sell another dream when you know that she can buy. When you know that it's a lie. When you know that she can buy.
Welcome back to Wrokdown, coming to you live from Musicland. The segment that we always wait for, even if it's just to see what she has on or doesn't have on.
I've got my eye on you.
The gorgeous Soozie Pinder. Well, she's been out and about again. Where have you been, Suze?
Oh, Gwen, I had a joy. I went over to the track on Friday night with Lawrence, and we saw Jeff Duff. And
How was it?
Oh,
It was
Bowie
David
show.
Bowie Unzipped, is that correct?
Yeah. And something else that I went to see a couple of weeks ago that you might know about was Weekend Warriors, because I saw your choir there and they were magnificent.
Thank you.
And Wendy's hubby Paul has Weekend Warriors, and it's something that I adore because it gives everyone a fair go to get up and perform with a band. But I went out a couple of weeks ago with Lawrence, and there's a name called Gwyn Ashton. Now, not everyone may know that name, but you would want to know about him. Aussie boy, come good.
Mm-hmm.
When I say boy, you know, about as young as us. And started off in Adelaide, a Welsh-born boy, went to Adelaide, came over to Melbourne and performed with people like Stevie Wright and Jim Keys, here the Golden Tonsils, Mickey Peeling. And then he headed off overseas, and he has been phenomenal. So we've got a little bit of an interview that we did here at Musicland, and maybe we should have a look
Let's
at
have a look.
Yep.
Gwyn Ashton.
Gwyn Ashton.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, real good. Mate, you're a man that gets around.
I do indeed. I just drove 10 hours from Wollongong to get here now, so...
What a gig. Was it a good gig?
That was fantastic. Yeah, played last night.
Now, he is one of the best secrets that you would ever know about that's come out of this country, because as this interview goes along, you'll be quite amazed at the people that he's played with. Give me a bit of the lowdown. What got you onto guitar first?
It was my brother. I saw him playing guitar and I thought, I want to play that, and he wouldn't let me play it, and I got a bit agitated over it. So my mum bought me this $10 heap of junk guitar to play, and it's good to learn on a piece of rubbish because it just makes you stronger in your hands.
Yeah. What'd you listen to as you're growing up?
Oh wow, there was a lot of stuff. We had Bakelite 78, so we had Doris Day, Deadwood Stage 78. So I had 2 copies of the same one. Wind-up gramophone. It was pretty cool. But I like the whole recording process and the crackle and the whole bit. And then I heard the blues and it was all over from there.
That was it.
Yeah.
So you came over to Melbourne, and I read that you played with some of the great Aussie artists like Stevie Wright, who you played with, and that guy Mick Peeling, I guess you played with him too. How was that? How'd that come about?
Yeah, it was great. When I moved to Sydney from Adelaide in the first place, I got to play a stint with Swanee, and then actually he's just sung on a single that I'm mixing at the moment. And then I joined Stevie Wright's band, and I left there. I came down here, and I played with Mick and Jim Keys, played on 2 of Jim's albums. I supported Rory Gallagher in Adelaide and Junior Wells at the Palais here in Melbourne. And I sort of wanted to get over. I brought out an album called Feel the Heat, and my distributor, Shock Records, called me in and they said, look, it's selling better in Europe, you ought to go over there and relocate. So I just chucked everything on a freight container and moved to England, and I had a British passport anyway.
You've been support for the likes of Status Quo, the Yardbirds. How'd that come about?
I supported Status Quo around... It was an arena tour in 1999, all through England. So the last gig was at Wembley Arena. So that was pretty cool. How
did an Aussie boy come to do that, though? You know, like, you make it sound easy. I got on shipped all my junk over there and arrived, and the next minute, you know, you're playing with some of the world's greatest musicians. How'd that come about?
Well, Francis Rossi heard that I was over there, and he rang up and said, you got to join... No, he didn't. No, it wasn't the case of that.
Now, did you headline the Rio Blues Fest? Is that what you did?
That was the first Rio Blues Festival. Yeah, that was a few years ago. We got asked to go over there, and it was just myself and my drummer at the time.
Now, last year you were honoured by the South Australian Musical Hall of Fame, and you're an inductee into the South Australian Musical Hall of Fame. How was that for you?
That was fantastic. I mean, I don't know if I really deserve it, and I said that at the time, but they said, no, you're representing Australia on the world stage, and, you're doing all this stuff. And I was very honoured.
Now tell me, what's in store? What have you got planned for the next year or so?
I've got a few days off, then I jump on a plane to Moscow. I'm playing Latvia, 3 shows in Moscow, a couple St. Petersburg, sort of the Russian thing. That I fly back, grab my van, drive to Brussels, and then up to Amsterdam, where I jump on a plane and fly to the Madeira Islands, and I've got a festival to play there. They're flying me a day early to stay in this 4-star hotel for a couple of days and have a look.
Poor bugger.
Yeah.
It's tough, isn't it?
I'm really hating this. And then I got tours of, I think I've got some stuff happening in Italy, I'm not sure. I've got a tour of Poland in June, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, Bosnia, Croatia. That takes me sort of up to the end of July, and hopefully, if I'm still alive, I'll be back again in December, because I'd like to come over for Christmas and do stuff over here, because it's my home,
We're really honoured to have you on Wrokdown, out and about. Maybe when you come back, we'll get you on the couch with Gwen, hey?
Ooh. Sounds interesting.
She's still gorgeous.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I'm pretty good looking myself.
You've got a nice shirt there. Thank you so much, Gwyn. Thank you for your time. Wonderful having you on Wrokdown.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Over and out. See you guys.
You were flirting.
He told me how gorgeous you are, and he had a secret little thing for you, so I thought I'll let him know I know you.
So it's very interesting because, as you said earlier, a lot of people in Australia don't know Gwyn at all. However, he's really kicked on in especially Europe.
Yeah.
So he's one of our sort of unknown exports. When's he going to be back?
Back in December, because he likes to come back for Christmas, and he'll be doing some gigs. But, when he was here, he just hired a car. All of the gear that you saw in the background, I don't know if you noticed. He said, can you help me unpack the car? And Lawrence and I played roadie. And he had about 48 guitars and drums and everything. He drives for 15, 20 hours, does gigs around the country, comes back here, jumps on the stage. He'd been driving for, I think, 16 hours, buggered back, gets up, plays, and then goes back and does other gigs. He's just a hard-working musician who really, really has earned his way around the world and playing with some big names.
Yeah, absolutely. Does he have product out?
He does. He has a new single, and I can't think of the name of it. Anita might be able to tell us, or Greg Ratt might be able to tell us. Played it on the show. We've been playing it on Wrokdown Radio. But, he's always got product. He's always recording. He's always going. He's got something that Swanee's singing on that he's just done recently. So I'm really keen to hear that.
So is it basically blues?
Yeah, a bit of blues, a bit of everything. But blues is his natural genre. But, he lends his hand to a lot of stuff. And he's just a lovely guy, very humble guy, and is loved around the world. I'm so proud of him.
Will he be here at Musicland?
Yeah.
Will he be here at Musicland?
Last time he was here, yes.
Is that a yeah?
Last time he was here, he did a gig.
Well, we'll make sure that when he's here, we'll let everyone know
Yeah.
that you can go and see the wonderful Gwyn Ashton. And, of course, the magnificent Soozie Pinder. My girl out and about.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thanks, Soozie. We'll be back soon with the wonderful Bob Spencer.
Oh.
Thank you and welcome back to Wrokdown. Well, my next guest is no stranger to the show. I think he's been my guest at least twice before. He is one of Australia's busiest musicians and one of Australia's finest guitarists. He played with the Angels, Skyhooks, the Young Lions, one of my favourite bands in the 80s.
Thank you.
Raw Brit at the moment, which is, of course is with Mick Peeling and all these fabulous musos. And I think probably another 4 or 5 bands as we speak. Would you please welcome the wonderful Bob Spencer? How are you, Bob?
I'm good. I'm post-man flu.
Does that mean over it? Or
I seem to be in the last bits of the man flu.
because
But
I have
it's
something,
okay, I'm out here
I
anyway.
have something that evidently is really good for flu.
I think you're lying to me.
It's licorice. Now, you can't eat it now because it'll do terrible things to your teeth.
All right.
So you just hold that and rub it like that.
Oh, it smells great.
Smells great?
Yeah.
It'll make you better.
Lovely.
And a bit of a snifter of scotch as well. You just dip it in like that.
All right. Okay, I'll hold on to that.
I've never tried it, but I've heard it's good. So give it a go.
All
So, Bob, as I said before, seriously, at the moment,
Yeah.
apart from the fact that you've played in all these amazing bands, you are playing with so many bands at the moment. Every time I look at a program, you're in the band. So we've got Raw Brit,
That's
which is
an
Mick
interesting
Peeling.
impression. Mick Peeling, John Favaro, Peter Maslin.
Tell us a little bit about Raw Brit, if
Raw
you
Brit.
can.
So I started Raw Brit a long while ago with one intention, which was for me to enjoy the music that I grew up on. That was it. And I started the band totally selfishly. I really didn't have any concerns for anything other than me enjoying myself. So I called Mick. I said, this is what I'd like to do. Play British music from, say, 66 to 74. And that's it. And Mick's totally cool with that because that music informed and influenced him. So Mick was on board. I called Maz and said the same thing. This is what I'd like to do. And the band, that's how the band started. Strictly as a way for us to be selfish. And I didn't really expect people to like it. What shocked me, and still amuses me to this day, is that girls come to see us. And I find that
You're
very
shocked
weird.
and amused, are you?
I'm bemused because...
Such an ugly band.
No, I didn't. I was thinking about it strictly. I know that Mick's not a bad looker, but I was thinking about it, the music, and I honestly thought that the audience would be 75 blokes with black T-shirts. And I thought, I can live with that. That's okay because I like the stuff. And now it turns out that the audience is 50% women. It's lovely. That's not a complaint.
Apart from that, I know that you're playing in several other bands. That's what I'm saying. You're a very busy boy.
I'm playing in a Joe Cocker band. Go figure. Because a friend of mine, basically because a friend of mine asked. And
I've heard that's wonderful too.
It's a good band. It's a 12-piece band. It's serious players. I mean, the other musicians in the band are more highly evolved as musicians than I am. They're the kind of guys where, you know, they can fall on the piano and tell you every note that was played. You know, I can't do that. Exceptional players. We have 3 horn players, 3 girl singers, 2 keyboard players, bass, drums, guitar, lead vocal. It's a big band.
And everybody gets paid.
Everybody actually gets paid. Yep.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, we don't do gigs for
That's
nothing.
a concept, isn't it?
Yeah, no, we're
Getting paid.
We don't like the business of not being paid.
I'm being facetious. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm being serious. We don't like not being paid. That's a whole nightmare. You know, as an adult, you need to be paid for what you do. You need to be paid fairly, and fair is different things to different people. A really important part of being in a band is asking yourself the question, why am I in the band? And a lot of musicians take for granted that they know why they're in the band, and they also take for granted why other people are in the band. And it's a very interesting question. Why are you in the band? What is it that you really want from this band? For some people it's money, for some people it's enjoyment. It can be a whole range of things, but I think it's important to ask why. One reason I'm doing the Cocker Band is because I get to play these really cool, small, skanky guitar parts, which is another part of what I love to do.
So it's a challenge for you personally.
It's a challenge. It kind of goes back to, a lot of it goes back to the music I liked as a child, which was from Jamaica, which I now know was from Jamaica, but when I was a kid I didn't know anything about Jamaica. But I like these kind of weird little guitar parts, and I get to do that in the Joe Cocker thing, which is great for my skills, and the drummer I play with, Jeff Barnes, is extraordinary.
He's an amazing drummer. I mean, as you said, Andy Burns. I won't go into naming everyone because we'll leave someone out. And
so it ticks a lot of boxes for me, and I get to stand in the back, which I really like for this. You know, there are times where you need to say, this is all about me, and there are times where you need to just stand right in the back and support everybody else. And the Cocker outfit, for me, is an opportunity to just support everyone. I love doing it.
And I also think it's a testament to the fact that good on the audiences. People are actually going out to see these shows.
Yeah.
You know, over the last, say, 10, 15 years, we've been very short on venues, and consequently, because of the lack of the radio support for original music, very short on a lot of acts that should be out there with their new records, but people are still willing to go out and go and see fabulous musos. So congratulations to you and to all of the musos that do that. When we come back after the break, we're going to talk about a new project that you have coming up. It's a recent thing, the last few years, where people can get some product out without the support of the record company, or, as you said, indeed, the support of anyone except the general public and yourself. So we'll be back with Bobby soon.
Hi, this is Mick Peeling, and welcome to another edition of Mick's Picks right here on Wrokdown TV. Now, over the last summer, this particular record by Shane Nicholson has been part of my summer soundtrack. That's his fantastic album, Hell Breaks Loose. It was released probably about halfway through last year. It's been a bit of a slow riser, a slow burn, you might say. It's a wonderful record. A lot of the tracks sort of talk about his breakup with Casey Chambers, which also brings to mind those two records that he actually recorded with Casey Chambers, which are just great. You might want to go back to those at some stage, but in the meantime, go directly to this record. It's got some great songs on it, including that fantastic song which kicked off this CD, Second Hand Man. And do yourself a favour, as a wise man once said. Shane Nicholson and Hell Breaks Loose.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. My special guest is the wonderful Bob Spencer. Let's talk about this project that you have started. You've already done a few tracks. Can you explain what you're doing?
Okay. Briefly, I've embarked on a crowdfunding campaign so that I might complete a solo album, my first solo album. So that's it briefly. Now, crowdfunding can take many shapes and forms. I did mine through a crowdfunding platform called Pozible, P-O-Z-I-B-L-E, and there are components. First thing is that I need to raise, whoever embarks on this needs to raise a certain amount of money. So in my case, I had badly underjudged that recording a solo album, the bare bones budget for me would be $15,000. I'd severely underestimated that, as I tend to do, but that's life, that's okay. I had already committed to that figure, $15,000. So over the course of a couple of months, the public have the opportunity of basically investing in what you're going to do. The investing can take different forms. It can be in buying the CD that you will release up front, or it could be in buying any number of things. In my case, I had things like a digital download. The album hasn't been recorded yet, by the way. So this is going to happen in the future.
Project.
I publicly commit that my album will be ready by the beginning of October of this year. People can then buy it. It's finished. Or come and see me. We can arrange something. People could purchase a digital download or a physical copy or a signed copy or bits of memorabilia or the opportunity to be in a film clip, the opportunity to be the actual band in my film clip, the opportunity to buy a copy of a print of the Archibald. I was painted for the Archibald a few years ago, or various things like that. Those things are called either rewards or pledges. So people say, well, I'll give you this $10 or $1,000 or $5,000 for a thing. We're not asking for donations, although some people donated, which totally blew me away. Unbelievable.
You're already into it. I know you've done a film clip.
The film clip came about, it kind of rolled into doing the film clip.
But it's a great idea because it's also something that people can see, and if you're interested in investing, I should say.
Yeah, and people
you
like
can look
to
at
see.
it and you'll say, well, I'm interested in investing in that.
Yeah, that looks like fun. I'd like to be part of that.
You need some more funds, don't you? You need more investments now?
I don't. No, my crowdfunding has finished. It
Oh,
finished
it has?
last week, and
Okay.
I raised double my target. Now that doesn't mean that. Oh, okay. But people can still. It sounds like I'm spruiking this. People can still invest. There may be something that interests one of you or somebody you know, so they can still call me and say, I'd like to be in on that. It's fine. It's totally legit.
Well, congratulations. I think it's a fabulous idea, don't you? I mean, I've been told not to go anywhere until you sign the chocolate box.
Do I get a chocolate?
No, you don't actually. You just got to sign this autograph book. But if you sign that, and I'll give you another piece of licorice.
I haven't had that
being
one yet.
a good boy. Oh, it's there. While you're signing that, there's a little project that our producer and director has initiated. And, of course, a man called Stan Roth was one of the most influential DJs in Australian music history. And there's a little bit of a, what would you call it? A movement going ahead to have a name or a street in Carlton, which is where Stan Roth was from, named after him. We've done quite a few laneways in Melbourne after Chrissy Amphlett and I think ACDC Lane, a few other fabulous, Edna Everidge Street, where I come from in Moonee Ponds. Of course, my mum swears that she knew Edna. Anyway, it's wonderful to have you here. We're going to leave our viewers with a film clip. What's the name of the song?
Oh, the song is called Who Are These People? And it's a straight-out commentary on what I see on my Facebook feed. That's what it is. All the lines are about real people. Jimmy's at the gym and he's unwell. He's hungover again. Ha, LOL. All the lyrics are literally from my Facebook. A bit of touching up to make some things more palatable for young kiddies, but it's really about the crap. There's no other way to put it. The crap I read on Facebook. How do people write this stuff? I just don't get it. So the song is straight out about that.
Our special guest, Mr. Bob Spencer, would you please give him a hand?
Thank you.
We'll see you next week. We're going to take you away with Bob's film clip. See you next time. Thank you. Thank you.